Seriously, folks, now. I got the $1 million, yeah. Yeah, I just want it. Yeah, thanks. We're all going to a party immediately afterwards. Yes. What I've just done is a stunt in mentalism. The randomization was as carefully done as it could possibly be done. The cards were out of my control altogether from the very beginning, as soon as I handed them out to the audience. They were shuffled, sorted, mixed up in every possible way. And yet I was able to tell in which envelope which one of the symbols were. It's a trick, folks. Now, I had made that admission from the very beginning. But the so-called psychics out there, they don't tell you that. They don't mention anything about a trick. They say they're doing it because they've got some sort of mental powers. I got mental powers. Sure, I can find my way around in a car and I can climb stairs and things like that, but beyond that, not much. Folks, don't believe these people when they show you stuff which doesn't even compare with the simple trick that you've seen done here. Incidentally, that happens to be my particular invention, that particular trick. Are there any magicians in the audience? I don't see any hands, or do I? No, I don't see any hands. Often I get some magicians in the audience, amateurs or professionals, and I was going to ask them their opinion of it, but the magicians don't know this, and that's strange in the profession because magicians know other magicians' tricks. They know all of them pretty well. This one I've managed to keep to myself. And I may, if you get close to me while I'm dying, I may whisper it. So I want you all to crowd around, and I'll just say to you, eat your heart out. Stuff like that. So, ladies and gentlemen, if we have other questions that we can, this gentleman has a question, a burning question. I'll take the cards back, if you don't mind.
Hi, perhaps this is an obtuse question for which there might not even be enough hours in the day to discuss, but I wonder what fundamentals of the society that we live in today, what fundamentals would you go about changing to idealize society from this point forth?
Wait a minute, I have to have that again, I'm sorry. A bit distracted there.
It happens.
Yes, would you?
I wonder that perhaps this question is a bit obtuse, or perhaps there aren't enough hours in the day to discuss it, but I find myself curious. What fundamentals in modern society would you go about changing to idealize society in the future?
That's a tough question. That is a tough question. I really wish I had, in many respects, expertise in such things as sociology, for example, in which I'm very interested. And I'm one of those almost a polymath. I know mathematics pretty well. I know science pretty well. I've received accolades for my writings and such, and many people have wondered, where did you get so smart? Well, I actually was a child prodigy, a very unhappy part of my life. Very, very unhappy part of my life, I must tell you. But at the same time, it prepared me to do the kind of work that I do these days. But I do wish I understood more about how society works and how I could direct you in that respect. And I think that right in this very campus here, we might have the means to have good answers to that. And I wish that sort of thing would be discussed more frequently, frankly. But I thank you for the question. Do we have any more? Okay, folks. Yeah, sorry?
I was wondering if I might ask one more.
Yeah, sure.
How did you come about, what experiences in your life influenced you to become what you are? Influenced you to ask the questions that you do when posed to challenges that you do?
Well, I'll tell you very briefly. My parents actually sent me, are you ready for this? Sent me to Sunday school. That was the worst thing that ever happened to Sunday school. I was raised in Canada, or almost raised in Canada, and my parents were Anglicans, which is sort of watered down Catholic. That's the way I always look at it anyway, but they weren't very, very serious about it. They went to church on certain occasions, but they sent me to Sunday school. They gave me a quarter, and I was supposed to put that on the plate. And I went to Sunday school. the first time all by my lonesome, and I didn't hit it off very well with the teachers. I asked questions, and I was told, you don't ask questions. It's in the book, and they showed me the Bible. And I said, well, who wrote this? Oh, a great number of wise people wrote that. They always said wise men, you see. I say wise people. It's more politically correct, I'm sure you'll agree. But they said that this is the Word of God. God told them this? Yes. God put this into their minds and they wrote it out and it's printed here. I don't know whether I believe that. They threw me out of Sunday school. I'd already given in the quarter. But the next week, when I went off to Sunday school armed with that quarter, I walked right by St. Cuthbert's Church and I went all the way up to Bayview Avenue where Purdy's drugstore sold an ice cream sundae of 2 flavors for 25 cents. It was an epiphany, an absolute epiphany. Best thing I ever found out about. Folks, I wish we could have more epiphanies like that, particularly with young folks. I have, from the moment I was so big, I never believed in any of this nonsense that we are assailed with. And I have met many other people who have asked me that question, did you ever have a time when you believed in it? Now, my good friend Michael Shermer, you know who Michael Shermer is, do you? Indeed. A very close colleague of mine. He has an advantage over me, however. He was in college before he woke up. He said he woke up one morning, went in to shave, and he looked at his face in the mirror and he said, wait a minute. Because he was a fundamentalist. He was a rabid fundamentalist. And he just looked in the mirror, and for some reason he caught the glint in his own eye, perhaps, I don't know. But he just looked at it and said, wait a minute, this is all bullshit. And he's thought that ever since, and he's acted on that ever since. But that doesn't happen often enough. We need to have more epiphanies of this nature. We need to be able to look at ourselves in the mirror and say, I'm going to do it straight on from now on. No more of this nonsense. No cutting corners. No failing to test the statements. I'm going to test the statements from now on. If we can all do that, we'll all be better off. Jeanette, what is our next move? Where is she? There she is. She's pushing down the aisle. Oh, there it is. I'm being taken over.
Everyone, please give another big round of applause for Mr. Randi.
Because I came upon this backstage here. It's a box of matches. Here, I've got to show you, I got to tell you this story. I think this is a funny story. I hope it is. I was in my office when my assistant, Andrew Harder, picked up the phone, turned to me and held his hand over the phone. He says, it's a scientist, a physicist from Lawrence Livermore Labs. Now, I don't know that you know who Lawrence Livermore Labs are, but they're a very substantial organization in California, and I'm told that you can throw a rock in any direction and hit a PhD in physics. Not that you want to do that necessarily, but they're all over the place, you see. A bunch of geniuses, very smart guys. So I picked up the phone and I said, this is James Randi, and the fellow on the other end of the line, who will remain nameless, he said, Mr. Randi, your $1 million offer still stands? I said, yes. He said, well, we have somebody here who most certainly can take the $1 million prize. I said, ooh, and I was terrified, of course. Yeah, sure. And he said, his name is Randi Marcus. I'd never heard the name before. And he came to us from Israel, and he can do wonderful things. I said, give me an example. And so I signaled to Andrew to pick up the phone so we could listen in on the conversation. That sneaky thing we do every now and then. And he said, he levitated a matchbox for us. Really. I said, how did it happen? He said, well, he said that we should get him a perfectly random matchbox, this small size you carry around in your pocket. Not that I do, but apparently they did. So they got scientific about it. This is science at its worst, folks. They went out to the supermarket, they bought 24 boxes of matches like that in a big cellophane package. They then went back to the lab, opened up the packages, and by a randomization technique with an actual electronic device, they decided upon one of the boxes. Me, simple soul that I am, would have reached in and said, let's use this one. Yeah, there you go. But they did it by electronic means. And they then discarded all the other boxes, okay. They then examined the box in polarized light, in infrared and ultraviolet light. They tested it for magnetism. They took a match out of the box. They lit it on the side of the box to make sure that they were real matches. How could they not be real matches? They just bought them in the supermarket. Come on, friends. This is the way scientists waste time and money, too, you see. And they determined that it was a regular box of matches, and then they gave it to Ronnie Marcus, and I said, wait a minute. So I signaled to Andrew to go and get Martin Gardner's wonderful book, Impromptu Magic. Andrew knew the trick too, you see, so he found the page. He went to the copy machine and get a copy of that page, on a page called The Levitating Matchbox. And I then said to the fellow on the other end, I said, Professor, do you have a fax machine there? And he said, oh yes, right. What is the number, please? He gave me the number. He said, why? I said, well,